Alrighty, welcome to episode 259 of Tokwa's Ask Us Anything. As usual, it's been a pretty busy news week. Actually, it's probably appropriate. It's been a pretty quiet week, but a very major thing has happened, which is the retirement of the Model S and X. And for many of us, in the Tesla community, a Model S or an X was the first car we bought and drove. So yeah, I think for a lot of us, it's been a pretty big deal.
The Model S. This is an ambitious goal to create a whole new kind of car with sales to rival any luxury sedan and do it in the next 18 months.
We created Tesla to make a difference in the world. Our goal here with the Model S was to create not the best electric car, but actually the best car of any kind. Model X gives you functionality, style, and performance. There's no other car like this. An electric car is not almost as good as a gasoline car. It's way better. What is the Model S really all about? It's about breaking a spell.
Vale S and X. Indeed. And I've just got to try something because I'm not sure if we're recording. Yes, we are. Great. Cool. Awesome. Sorry
Yeah,
about
we
that.
got the recording prompt.
Zoom just keeps changing its layouts. Thanks, Ken. Alrighty. After that little somber thing, and a little bit of self-indulgent, I think, well, there's a few of us in the room that have our Tesla journey started with S's or X's, and some of us still have them, and many of us don't. But anyway, if there is anyone who is new and is comfortable in doing so, please unmute and say hello.
Hello.
Hello, JD. Welcome.
Yeah. My name is Jackie.
Welcome,
So
Jackie.
I really should have put Jackie instead of JD, but I'm so used to using JD. That's
It's
what
all
went
good.
in.
So
Yeah, I've
tell us
been,
about your Tesla journey.
I'm a pretty dyed-in-the-wool ice person for years and years through motorsport and all sorts of things. And a couple of years ago, I had a son-in-law who bought a Model Y, and I was very impressed with it. And so from then on, I did some research to see, how they compare. And we're looking at a new car and, what's the best way to go. And I took a drive in a Model 3, and I came back and dropped it back at the in the parking space and went in and put the order in. I was just so impressed with this car, with its handling, its get up and go, just everything about it. And it just leaves every other ice or every ice car these days pretty much for dead.
Absolutely.
So,
Yep.
yeah. I miss the noise of an engine, but then I've missed that for a few years because I haven't had a competition car for a few years. But I do really enjoy being able to put your foot down and the thing just goes whoosh. So yeah,
Yep.
love it. Had it for a year. Talked the daughter in. She got hers one day and I got mine the next. So we've now got 3 Teslas in our family. Very happy.
Teslas are sort of like a virus. It just infects a couple of people initially, and then it just spreads like wildfire. It really does. And I like the way you said that you sort of did miss the noise. One of my mates describes that exhaust noise that you hear from ice cars as the sound of struggle, because I don't know if you've ever seen it, particularly in winter. You'll see people, usually younger people, in hotted up utes, and they'll be blatting their accelerator, and you hear this noise coming out, and the back is sort of fishtailing a bit, and it's just struggling to get traction because it doesn't know what to do with it. And your car, you're just tootling along, going, yeah, right, great, great sound, but no reward for that effort. It really is a sound of struggle. And the wonderful thing, as I'm sure most of us know, is it's very satisfying every now and then to safely just hammer it to the speed limit and just see all the cars behind you just get really small really quickly, and they just go, where did that car just go? I didn't hear anything. It's really
Yeah.
satisfying.
Yes, there's, I guess being in motorsport, there was sound and there was smell. Um, so, especially in the days when we were able to use avgas in our cars, that was a pretty good combination. Um, but, what I would love to do is actually compete with the Tesla Model 3, but I don't think I bought the right one. I now found out.
Which model did you buy, Jackie?
Oh, just the rear-wheel drive one.
Right. Oh, and you're that impressed with the rear-wheel drive? Wow.
Oh, God, yes.
Okay, I
Look,
just assumed you had a performance.
No, mate. My last competition car was a Mitsubishi Evolution 3, which was a four-wheel drive. It was the current world champion rally car at the time. And four-wheel drive, turbocharged job. And it went like hell. It went amazing. And especially on dirt, it would leave everything in its wake. And it was a top car. But this Tesla thing would just blow it to the weeds. It really would. Even with two-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, because it gets traction. Look, I'm sure you can spin the wheels. I haven't actually tried to do that yet. I'm being gentle with
No,
it.
you can't, Jackie.
It,
In the rear wheel drive, the best you can do is go slip start. And the funny thing too is,
you're
I'm
just
sure.
not trying hard enough, Harold. Trust me, you can.
Yeah, look,
Well,
I
but what you can,
yeah,
but what the big technological difference, Jackie, which would impress you, because I know you understand cars a lot, is these are open diffs. So your Model 3 has an open diff, no
I
limited
realise
slip.
that.
It's
Yep,
it's just it
yep.
just does it with millisecond power throttling, and yes, it does also apply brakes, obviously, to the spinning wheel, but
Yeah,
and
no,
it'll do it wet and
it's
dry.
yeah, yeah. The tech. uh, You talk about. I hadn't thought about an engine, a petrol engine struggling. That's not something I'd ever thought of. But now that I do think about it, you did right. And what happens is when you're listening to it, you're thinking, I hope it doesn't blow up. So yeah. Anyway, I love the car. Learning lots. And yeah, really enjoy it. Mind
Fantastic.
you, I'm 80 this year.
wow.
Oh,
Wow.
well, good on you for seeing the light. And you know what? It just proves it's never too late to go to the other side. And um, and like I said, your story about you basically got it from, was it a son-in-law? It was an in-law, right? So the in-law sort of is the thin edge of the wedge, and then you're getting kids into it. It's just yeah, it's just what
Yeah,
happens.
yeah.
This is what
Look,
happened. So go on.
sorry. Oh, no, you say this is what
I
happened.
I was just going to say, this is what happened 120 odd years ago when when the world was transitioning from animal transport, mainly horses, to uh, horseless carriages, to vehicles. You know, at first people lampooned them and said they're not practical. You can't. I can feed my horse on any pasture, on anywhere, any whatever, and you need. Now you're telling me that I have to put in, glass jars of this petroleum product, which is hard to get, and blah, blah, blah. All of the resistance that people have had over the last, say, 20 years of EVs is just melting away because you don't have to compromise how you drive. You don't have to compromise how you live, what you do. It's just a superior product on every measure. And it just makes sense. You know, we've gone past the early adopters, people that got a car 10, 15 years ago. We're now into the early majority, really, and probably transitioning to a majority, in the next half a dozen years. It's just a great progression.
Yes, and to me, when I actually live out of town, I live in the hills, and every time I go down to the city, I can't help but think how the haze would be so much better if everybody was driving EVs in the city.
Yep.
Even if they don't want to go long, consider one if they live in Albany or something. But the EVs would just get rid of that fog, that smog in the city.
Yep. And the number of times you go into any multi-level, especially a basement car park, and you'll see towards the back of the car park, if it's like underground, you'll see all this duct work. It looks like aircon duct work. That is there purely to pump fresh air to push all the carbon monoxide and other pollutants out of the car park. And we've all been in underground car parks where you have that stench of diesel particulates and unburnt fuel and all that sort of stuff. If that car park instead was full of EVs, then you'd have none of that.
No,
And it'd be so much healthier.
Actually, on that point, few people realise that in Australia, more people die prematurely from air pollution than the road toll. So the road toll is obviously, every time someone dies in a car accident, especially if it's a multi-car pile-up or anything like that, it's all over the news. But when someone dies of lung disease, they die quietly in a hospital. That never makes the headlines. But it's actually a fact. So more Australians die prematurely from air pollution than from accidents on the road. But look, I'd like to take my hat off to you, Jackie, because you said you were a petrol diehard, and I know from my own experience, but we as humans just get more and more set in our ways the older we get. And I couldn't believe that you said that you were 80. You definitely don't sound like you're 80. I can't see you because you don't have your camera on, but at that age to make the switch, it just shows that you had an open mind. And that's all that people need, is they just need to have an open mind and get into a Tesla and just drive it around. Sometimes, all they need, like you, because you obviously know what you're doing, so you probably only needed half an hour. Most people need a week or so of driving the car around, but whether it's half an hour or a week or a few hours or a few months, whatever it is, most people end up, if they've got an open mind and if they can remain objective, they can't argue the fact that the Tesla is a superior car to any petrol car. I mean, you could objectively argue that there's still two things where a petrol car is potentially superior. So you could say time to refuel or time to recharge is faster, but for most of us and most EV drivers, you just charge at home, and that figure is, what would it be, Harold? 97%, 96%, something like that. It's very high.
Basically everyone charges at home now, except for those few small
Apartments.
cohort of people that don't have off-street parking. They don't have access to power where they park their car, but that's pretty low, and that's something that's being addressed slowly. But everyone else, you are literally at leave of your senses if you don't charge at home. Oh, unless, I don't know, you got a company car and the company pays for whatever, but that's another little minor use case. Charging at home takes 10 seconds, 5 seconds when you get home. the longest time to actually charge is the time it takes to walk from the driver's side to the rear passenger side to plug your car in, your Tesla, and then that's 5 seconds. And then in the morning, you undo that process and you're off.
Yeah, exactly. So, and even on longer drives, so yes, if you're driving more than 400, 500 kilometers or 300 kilometers or whatever depending on the range of your car, whatever that figure is, people talk about range anxiety, and Harold has gone around Australia. Sorry, I'm starting to lose count, Harold. Is it 10
No,
times?
it's easy. It's only 11. Leg's 11 at
Oh,
the moment,
11.
Pete.
God.
It's only 11.
Yeah. So, yeah, you'll be at a dozen soon, cheaper by the dozen. But yeah, and I was lucky enough to do that second lap of Harold's with him. He went around the bottom of Australia.
Well, Pete, you weren't with me at all. We saw each other for a couple of hours one day.
In the Northern Territory. I was getting to that. So you went around the bottom of Australia, I went around the top, and we met, but we did it at the same time. And we met in the Northern Territory, and then we came back all the way around. But I think I speak for both of us when I say, most of the guys here are in the 0% club. So people that have taken their battery state of charge to 0%. Not recommended and not advised, but that lap that I did with Harold, that was in 2022, and that was before there were any charges anywhere. So there was basically no charges between Broome and Townsville in Queensland. So what's that, 4,000 or 3,000 kilometres or something. So, but yeah, unless you're doing that sort of driving, which now there's DC charges pretty much every couple of 100 kilometres in most places. But if you're going down south to Margaret River, or if you're going to Geraldton, Ken may disagree with some of this, but if you're going to Geraldton, you drop into a supercharger if you can. And look, yes, it might take 15, 20 minutes rather than 7 or 8 minutes, but at least you don't have to stand there with your hand on the bowser sucking in the fumes. So during those 20 minutes, you can go and stretch your legs and go to the bathrooms and, grab something to eat or what have you. And before you know it, you're on your way again. And there's actually, the government recommends to at least have a 15-minute break every 2 hours of driving because, for staying awake, etc. And, when we did that lap, Rob Dean, who was at the time the president of TOC1, now it's Harold, he said
It was
to
the
me,
chair, Rob.
Oh, sorry,
I mean,
chair.
Pete,
Sorry, where am I
Rob was
getting president from?
just the
Sorry,
chair.
I should know. It's been a long day. Anyway, so he was chairman, now Harold's the chairman. So he said to me, he said, look, when you're charging in some of these remote places, just take note of the cars and the trucks and everyone that comes in, and take a note of when they come in and when they leave. And sure enough, it was roughly about 20 minutes. So even the people that use petrol, if you're doing a long trip where you're doing 3-4 hours of driving in any one leg, it's not, what do we call it? It's not range anxiety, it's bladder anxiety, because most people can't last more than 4 hours if they're properly hydrated. So really it doesn't, if there's superchargers, really doesn't make a difference. So that's on the charging side. The other point that you could argue is that a EV, everything else compared, is more expensive as far as the sticker price is concerned. So the upfront investment is more. So that's true, but the way to look at it is from the point of view of total cost of ownership. So really you shouldn't just look at the sticker price. You should look at the cost to run, the maintenance, obviously fuel, depreciation, insurance, you name it. And if you take all those factors into account, you probably find that within, it will vary by car and how much you drive, etc. But anywhere from 3 to 7 years, you'll find that you're actually better off even with the more expensive car. But you're driving a Tesla, you're driving a future-proof car, you're driving a car that can drive itself. I mean, that it can talk to you. So it's just a
Actually,
no-brainer.
Pete, I might just cut in there because, Jackie, I am 25 years behind you, so I've got a little bit more to go. But uh, something that came to mind when I was driving my car on FSD, and that's the proper full self-driving that any Tesla that's let's say less than a year old guaranteed. Probably now it's probably a year and a half or so old, can have true FSD at the moment supervised. Now, one thing I said when I was discussing this with some people was in everyone's life, if you're fortunate enough, there are two very significant events. The day that you get your driver's license, and that is hugely significant because that sense of freedom, and I think most of us in this room can literally remember the first time we hopped in a car by ourselves. And that sense of, wow, I can just drive wherever I want. Literally, I can just go wherever I want. That sense of freedom was a real milestone. And if most of us, well, this won't happen to many of us actually, but in the past, if you are also fortunate enough to live long enough, you may then have to endure the pain of having to stop driving your car. If you live long enough, I mean, many people don't, but a lot do. And what happens then is if you lose the ability or the permission to drive your car wherever you want later in life, that's a devastating detachment from your friends, community, and everything basically. And a lot of people really don't cope very well with it. Um, I know my father drove a car much longer than he should have, and the only thing I can say about him is he fortunately died before he killed someone. Um, but now with Tesla in particular, with FSD, me, being only in my mid 50s, I know for a fact that I will be independent for the rest of my life because my car or the successors will absolutely be driving me around without the need for a driver's license, without the need to be alert, conscious, or anything. I can just be asleep in the back of my car in the coming years and know that I'll always have that independence and that control. And that's something it's never happened, ever. And that is just around the corner. And that's a huge big deal that, our forebears just never had that sort of I don't know what you call it.
Opportunity.
Yeah, opportunity or
Opportunity.
that
Yeah.
comfort in knowing that no matter what happened, you were always going to be able to be fully independent.
So, Jackie,
Well,
have you tried FSD yet?
not yet, because recently I've been having knee replacements.
That's got to
Another,
hurt.
yeah, another task of getting older of that you've got to go through to continue to live your life the way you would like. Um, and I've just had my right knee done, and I said to my surgeon after the op, he came and said, "G'day, how you going?" I said, "Oh, fine." I said, "Now, when did you say I could start driving the car again?" He said, "Oh, about 6 weeks." And I said, "Well, it shouldn't really have to be that long because my car can actually drive me." So we had a bit of a laugh about that. And I did insist that the car is capable of driving me, but he still said 6 weeks. But what I'm going to do once I am sort of over this thing, I want to I'm going to get FSD installed just
Yep.
on a monthly ticket to start with. And then I want to take it downtown and let my son-in-law drive it and my daughter drive it and see what they think so that we can all have an experience of using
See,
it.
Jackie, just a little point of order there. They will just be supervising, so the car will be driving them. They will be
Okay,
in the
yes.
driver's seat. Absolutely, and this is the cool thing. And you got to encourage them. You got to say, look, just relax. The car's in control. Now, obviously, they need to be alert and aware and be able to intervene because at the moment, the FSD that we all have is pretty much the same as the version that was released back in September last year. But there are big improvements on the way. So, yeah, absolutely. You should get them to experience what it's like. And it won't take them long to be fully comfortable. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I think it's one way of considering we've all got a Tesla. Except the son-in-law has got the Hardware 3 Model Y.
Yep. Okay.
Um, so
So
that's the only issue.
so
But
Tesla has declared that they have given up on Hardware 3, on implementing full self-driving properly on Hardware 3, and that there'll be two choices that they offer. One choice will be a sizable discount on buying a new Tesla to replace the Hardware 3 car, or they will, if FSD was purchased in that car, they will upgrade the cameras and the computer for free in the coming period of time, whatever that is. It's probably going to be months to maybe a year or so out for those
right.
cars. But in the meantime, they will offer a substantial discount for those that want to choose to upgrade
But
out
yeah,
of a Hardware 3 car. Now
so,
that's only been
sorry,
stated
Harold.
in in America, not in Australia, at the last quarterly earnings call.
Sorry,
Pete.
Harold, you need to mention that the free replacement of the cameras and the chip, that's only for people that purchased FSD outright. So,
Yeah, I did say
yeah.
that at the start.
Oh,
Yes, I
you
said
did?
if you've
Sorry.
purchased
Oh,
FSD,
sorry.
yes. So
Okay.
if you've purchased, I guess the little asterisk there is if you haven't if you haven't purchased it in the past, which you can no longer purchase now, um, there might be a bit of a gotcha. But the thing is, no one holds onto a car forever. They're not income producing assets or appreciating assets. They shouldn't be treated as oil paintings. They're tools to be used. So I
Well, I
think if
think
it
that.
comes, sorry, go, Jackie.
So I was just going to say, I think that once my son-in-law and his wife, which is my older daughter, have driven my car with the FSD supervised,
Yep,
that will probably encourage them to do a trade-in
yep,
and move up. And then
yep,
they,
exactly.
because I'm pretty sure they've paid for FSD on their car.
Oh, okay.
So,
So you do check with them. So if they paid, and that would have cost $10,100,
yep.
if they've paid for it, that's great because it gives them two choices. Well, the thing is, it's highly likely. It hasn't been announced yet, but it's highly likely that Tesla will sporadically have a offer whereby if you buy a new Tesla, that you can then transfer the FSD that you paid for from the old one. Now, that's not
Okay.
the case as we speak right this moment. And Elon Musk has, in particular, over the years, been goaded into doing it once ever, and he said this is the only time we're going to do this. And then one or two quarters later, he has relented and done it again and again and again. And I think in Australia we actually had FSD transfers for, I think it was more than 6 months rolling. I could be wrong, but it was for quite a. It kept on. There kept on being a deadline, and then it was extended. Now, the latest time there was a deadline was the 31st, if that's the date of March, the end of the first quarter. So it's likely it's plausible for that sort of thing to come again. And if you think of it, Tesla is quite motivated to get people out of an FSD purchased hardware 3 car into a new one, a version 4, hardware 4. So yeah, I'd get the son-in-law to have a sus once you you rent FSD, subscribe to FSD. So by the way, as of the end of March, that was the last date of being able to own FSD, so to speak, in a car. From then on, all cars that want FSD that don't already have it, just subscribe to it. Now, I've said this many times in the program. Humans are just humans. We very quickly forget about sunk costs. The $10,100, which is a lot of money, people quickly forget about. But when you, on an ongoing basis, every month pay for $149 a month, I fear that many humans go, well, that's, 5 times as much as I spend on Netflix and blah, 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 whatever. But it really is worth it if you think about the quality of life and just sitting behind the wheel and enjoying watching the car do its thing. And in essence, as long as unless you kept your car for more than 6 years minimum, you would barely break even between renting it for $149, subscribing for $149 a month, or buying it outright for $10,100. And a lot of people don't hold their cars for more than 6 years. And even then, that's just breaking even. That's not actually being in profit. Excellent. Well, that was probably one of the longest intros we've had on Ask Us Anything. Just for completeness, I might just ask if anyone else is new and is comfortable in saying hello. No, we're all good.
If there's no one else, Harold, I just wanted to quickly add. So yeah, Jackie, the system FSD supervised, the true FSD supervised on a hardware 4 car, the software with City Streets is absolutely amazing. It does everything, does traffic lights, does roundabouts, on-ramps, off-ramps, freeways, you name it. It does it all. But the Australian version, this is the first version we've ever had. So it's the worst it's ever going to be. It's only going to get better from there. And that it's still far from perfect. So it's not really optimized for car parks or small, intricate driving environments, especially something below 40 kilometres an hour. Above 40 kilometres an hour, it's great. The biggest risk is becoming complacent, because I can literally go days, sometimes a week or longer, or a couple of weeks, without any safety interventions whatsoever. And then a drive that I've done 100 times and it's done 100 times perfectly, I'll have 2 interventions in one go. So you legally, you're still 100% responsible for the car, and you should be as vigilant as you are driving yourself. If anything, I would say even more vigilant, more attentive. Some of the things that it tends to struggle with is mainly being in the correct lane at the moment. So for instance, if there's a roundabout with 2 lanes and it's trying to turn right, it may try and do so from the left lane. So you just got to watch out for that. And the car parks and a few other little things here and there. Sometimes when you go around the corner, it can sometimes, especially in slower turns, it can try and go into the opposing lane, even against an oncoming car. So obviously you just got to disengage and go back into your lane, or ideally stop it from doing that before it actually gets to the other lane. But usually you have a second or 2 usually. Or a couple of seconds, which is usually more than enough time to safely intervene. So I've done probably about 20,000 kilometres with it now, and I'm estimating that I've probably, because I've lost count, but probably had about a dozen, maybe 15, what I would call safety interventions. So it is absolutely amazing. It's only going to get better from here. but far from perfect, and still requires you to be 100% focused on supervising.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
in the
thanks for
next
that, Pete. Yeah, thanks, Pete.
and in the next year or so, it will transition to being able to be unsupervised. So there will be cars driving around in the next 1 or 2 years fully autonomously and very safely. So that's something to definitely look forward to. Now,
And one last
unfortunately,
thing, Harold, I'll be really quick. So it's very different from the US version. So let's not forget they've had it there for 5 years. We've had it here since the 29th of August or whenever it was. So
yep.
yeah, it's the very first version. So some of the videos that people see online in the US where people eating their hamburgers or something with that's not what our laws are like here in Australia or in WA. So here the key words is proper control. So to exercise proper control, most police officers see that as at least one hand on the steering wheel. But you've got to be ready to intervene. So yeah,
I'm going to push back slightly on that, Pete. You've got to be
please
in
do.
proper control. You don't have to have your hands on the steering wheel. Ask me why I know, because I've had my arms folded under the Mill Point Road um,
Intersection.
safety camera bizzos that get people, breastfeeding babies, smoking bongs, having seatbelts.
Eating a steak dinner.
Yeah, right. Okay, cool. Good job. And I diligently fold my arms or have a pose that's like this. Oh, sorry, I have to sit up a little bit. That's sort of this arm there and then like this. And I do that diligently under those cameras. And you can, if you squint, you can often see the infrared flash because they're near infrared cameras. It is it is not a legal requirement to hold a hand on a steering wheel at all times to be in proper control, just as you can be in proper control of your speed without having a foot on the accelerator because, for example, it's being controlled by cruise control. But you can't have a bowl of, you're probably pushing it having a bowl of cornflakes or whatever.
And I never said it was a legal requirement. I just said that's how most police officers, if they pull you over,
Oh yeah, well,
would
and
interpret
police
proper
officers,
control. So
yeah, and again, that's all up to the interpretation. But anyway, look, the next evolution of this thing is coming, and like many things, it's often these things happen slowly, and then all at once. And that's sort of what generally happens. So it's definitely something to look forward to. Now, something I was looking. Oh yes, go, Mike.
So this might be relevant for JD, especially if she has an excellent birthday coming up. So with a rear-wheel drive, can a rear-wheel drive get a speed boost?
no,
Or
only the long range.
So it has to be the
And actually, to be precise, not just the dual motor. In the Model Y, at least, it has to be a dual motor standard length car. It's not offered currently in the dual motor Model YL, the long wheelbase. And ask me why I know.
Yes, because I was
Because
thinking
I've
JD for
I've
ages,
looked and
something
lamented.
like speed boost, and she'd like the extra little bit of speed, but obviously not.
Well, Jackie, what I'd love you to do is have a test. Go to Tesla, book a test drive for a performance Model 3, and you'll be impressed.
I'd get killed if I did that. As it was when I came home with this thing, goodness me, I've got a ICE husband, and
yes.
he will not even drive this thing.
But you know what, Jackie? Your husband, if he's a wise man, which I hope he is, he understands that happy wife, happy life, and it's just a matter of time. You're infected via the son-in-law. You got infected. Your other daughter has been infected. you're going to get the hubby over the line. It's just a matter of time.
He just needs an open mind, and
He can just resist for a little bit. He won't. Resistance is futile, Jackie. It's just going to happen. He'll come to appreciate it.
But Jackie, another advantage of the Performance is it's got track mode. So when you do take it on the track, you can drift in it. You can make it a full rear-wheel drive. You can go 70-30, 80-20. There's quite a few things that you can adjust with track mode. And you can save your settings as well. You can record your lap times. Pretty sure that's still a thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's quite good fun on a track. So, and those people, there will be people that will say to you, "Oh, I'm not interested in full self-driving because I actually like driving," and I'm sure you like driving. I like driving as well. And it was interesting last time we had a track day, a Tokwa track day. We had 20 or so people that were on the track, and I went around and asked at least a dozen of them and said, "Oh, did you drive here, or did you let first of all, do you have FSD? If so, did you drive here, or did you let the car drive you here?" And everyone that had FSD, without fail, said, "No, the car drove me here." And so those are obviously people that like driving as well. You don't give up your Saturday, or Sunday to go driving around a track if you don't enjoy driving. So, I enjoy driving as well. I love driving. I love driving on a track, but I love supervising the car when I'm on public roads.
Yeah, I think it's such a novelty, I think. But sitting there. I've only got the very basic autopilot thing, which is pretty basic, but I enjoy just using that. So I think just because you like driving doesn't necessarily mean to rule you out of being happy to use the FSD.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, Jackie, a lot of people like riding horses, but they don't do that every day.
Not to work.
They don't
not
ride a horse
anymore.
not to work, or not to Sydney, or not to So
Yeah.
Alrighty, let's. It's a good time to move on. Unfortunately, Ken has left the room, and I was really going to enjoy having Ken really annoyed at me, but something that we sort of came up from last week was the supercharger voting, which I think it was Mike that alerted us to the fact that there was a new voting session. And let me see. At the moment, we'll just try this. Once this comes up, 'cause it's going to take a couple of seconds on a slow computer.
I think the mood is quite cool.
Harold, maybe mute someone who's got the TV in the background.
Yeah, I can't do that right now because I've already pressed the share button. I think it's Mike. So Mike, you might want to just mute maybe it wasn't Mike's. Apologies if it wasn't. Okay, here we got the supercharger voting map. And if we have a look, we've got Beladonia at 395 votes, Ceduna at 349, Norseman at 309. And I'm trying to drag my mouse, and there we go. And we've got Jurien Bay at 204. And in fact, if this will drag, there we go. This is I just pulled this from Tesla's website. So we've got Beladonia in front, Ceduna, Norseman, Jurien Bay. Don't get me started with Denmark. And then we've got Manjimup, etc. So I guess my appeal to anyone who hasn't voted yet is if we go back to the map, please consider voting for Beladonia, which by the way isn't here, it's actually about here. Because what it does is if Beladonia gets up, and you'll notice that notably we've got WA has 3 past winners, so the most recent is Esperance. Now, the good thing about Esperance is we know that since Tesla is going to commit to Esperance, they're also going to have to commit to Ravensthorpe and Jerramungup, because Esperance otherwise would be, and you've got to ignore the Norseman because that's not actually a location yet. Esperance would be a shag on a rock, and there'd be nowhere. It'd be an island, and no way to practically get to it. So having Esperance as a winner guarantees there will be superchargers between Albany and Esperance. So that's a great thing because you basically get 3 for 1. You don't just get Esperance, you get Jerramungup and Ravensthorpe, which is great. Now, I mean, Norseman, don't get me wrong, Norseman's good as well, but Balladonia will get you Norseman because Tesla is, if Balladonia wins, Tesla is not going to install just Balladonia and say, well, if you can somehow skyhook yourself into Balladonia, we can recharge you and that'll be it. What it would do is it guarantees Norseman gets done anyway, as well as Kalgoorlie.
Exactly.
Or
So
Coolgardie.
basically, if you want Norseman, make sure you vote for Balladonia.
Precisely. Now, what will annoy Ken, and there's a great saying, never bet against a horse called self-interest, because it's the only one that's trying. Now, obviously, Ken's in Geraldton, and notably, last quarter, Geraldton was the winner. Now, what that means is it's pointless basically to vote for Jurien Bay or anything in between, because you can guarantee that if Tesla builds Geraldton, of course it will fill in and backfill locations to Lancelin or Perth, because it just doesn't make sense again to have a shag on a rock. So now Tesla won't necessarily build beyond Geraldton, but they will absolutely build to Geraldton, because, like I said, they're not going to do a shag on a rock. The same as that, we know that they're going to build in Southern Cross. In fact, that's actually been approved, and consequently, they will also be building at Merredin and probably Northam along the way. So strategically, for anyone that wants to do long road trips, either around Australia or just to the eastern seaboard, strategically there are only really 2 locations to vote for, and it doesn't actually matter which one wins, and that is Balladonia or Ceduna. Because again, at Ceduna, if that gets up, it means the Nullarbor is getting closer, or should I say, the stretch of superchargers are getting the gap is decreasing. And if Ceduna gets up, as opposed to Balladonia, then they will also install chargers at Kimber and Woodner, or Kimber and there's Poochera. There's a few places between Port Augusta and Ceduna. So please, for anyone that hasn't voted, do vote for either or both Balladonia and Ceduna. Now, please, and I don't want to, I know it sounds funny initially, but please don't also vote for Norseman, because we want Tesla to stretch. We don't want Tesla to have more votes for Norseman and go, oh, okay, well, let's just do like a bit of a Goldfields loop, right? We want them to stretch, because every time they stretch, they've got to backfill. So that's why Balladonia or Ceduna are the 2 to go for. And like I said, in the voting tally at the moment, we've got Balladonia, which is great, and Ceduna 1 and 2. And we want to keep these 2, and it doesn't matter which order it is, but we want these 2 locations to be starkly out in front. I do know that, everyone gets 5 votes, and it's tempting to just vote all your 5 votes. In my opinion, that's my personal opinion, it's useful if we're a little bit more strategic. And look, if you've got a local suburb that you want to promote, like you're in Mandurah or you're in Mindarie, I can't remember all the other locations, definitely vote for something local if that's what, because that's great. but we really want either of these two candidates, Baladonia or Sejuna, to come out in front, because that will do the most change. And in fact, if ever we get an opportunity to vote for something like UCLA, we've just got to smash UCLA, because then that guarantees that Tesla will fill the Nullarbor with superchargers. And, that's just what we want. We want Australia
Harold,
covered.
Harold, can I just say as well, Baladonia would be Tesla's first fully off-grid in Australia.
Yes.
Literally with a good test case, but it's only semi-off-grid.
Oh,
And
yeah,
these are the
that's
gaps we're
yeah.
going to fill now.
Yeah, it'd be great to see a mega pack there and some
Because
panels.
once they've done it once, it's now the template for the
It's
other
rinse and
remote
repeat.
places, which there are many.
Yeah, very good point, James. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I've been asked before, like, well, why does Tesla put these sites up for voting and the reason is because presumably they want to see how far the interest stretches from the suburban areas. So if you're interested in driving to Adelaide, or if you're driving to, Border Village or anywhere through there, definitely put in Baladonia, and like Harold said, maybe consider holding a vote that you'd otherwise put in for Norseman. If Norseman is as far as you're ever going to go in your EV, okay, fair enough, put in Norseman. But if you want to go further, just make sure you put the furthest site that is available for voting.
Now, on this topic as well, just to let know, Cameron Barnes is in Queensland, and he asked a question in the chat about a drive across the Nullarbor. So maybe set some background of what the current experience will be for Cameron driving from Brisbane to Nullarbor.
I just, if you want to refresh the page, I just put 2 more votes for you, so it should be getting
awesome.
up close to 400.
Thank you, Cameron. That's awesome. So, look, I highly recommend you drive across the Nullarbor.
Oh, I do plan to do it once, if I get my YL one day.
Have you ordered one?
I did. I ordered it at 10 p.m. on the 31st of March, so I'm on the next shipment.
Oh, actually, I can help you with that, Cameron, because
I don't know when, because I don't even have a VIN or anything yet.
no, you'll probably get it soon though. Hopefully, if it's on the next what's the name? Let me just, because I'll just open my Tesla runs. Okay.
Did you get yours, Pete?
Oh no.
Does Pete got his yet?
I did, yes. Got it yesterday and couldn't be happier.
That's good. I seen my first one today. It was a silver.
I couldn't believe it, but when you think about it, how many cars do you think there are in Perth? They've got to be 1 million, right? And how many, Harold, you would know this, how many Model Ys do you think? Because I think pretty much all of them, maybe there's a few more days to go before all of them have been delivered from the first shipment. And there was it 242 or something?
Hang on, I'll just bring that up. So I'll just share the screen. Okay, so once this works, not sure if it's. Can everyone see that yet? It's very slow. We there yet?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, cool. Okay,
and Andromeda.
right. So this is something courtesy of Claude Code. It basically scrapes the Molace booking system. So what we've got basically for Fremantle, so the Model Ys that Pete and I, the YLs, that was aboard the Genuine Ace, and that left on the 10th of April, arrived on the 24th of April, and there were 350 YLs and 292 Ys.
Okay, so I got that wrong. So 350. So let's say 300 of those are delivered. But even if it's the whole 350,
more than that. Oh no, it wouldn't be all of them, Pete, because some of them were what's the name cars, demo cars. So
let's say whatever number between 300 and 350 you want to choose. But so there's that many Model Y Ls in Perth. There's probably 1 million cars on the road, and
more. Yeah.
or more. And Cameron, you said you've seen one already. I've seen two. I've seen a
Yeah,
Glacier
but
Blue and a
Cameron's
Cosmic.
in the Gold Coast.
Yeah, I'm in
Cameron,
Toowoomba, Queensland.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're right.
sorry.
Good.
Yeah.
Well,
So
this-
Cameron, what you
this
want
applies to-
is
So anyway, the point I was trying to make is that I've seen two of them apart from my own, and I live as far as you could possibly live from the delivery centre. So it's not like I'm driving out of the delivery. So one I saw on the freeway and the other one I saw near Joondalup. So what's the chances? 300 out of 1 million, and I've seen two of them already.
yeah, exactly. So Cameron, you've got a ship that's already arrived in Brisbane on the 25th of May with 197 in Brizzy.
Well, I haven't received anything yet,
Ah,
or
so
been assigned a VIN. So I
okay,
got a
if you've not
feeling.
yet been
Yeah.
assigned a VIN, so what happens is, I do recall when I was assigned a VIN. So I was assigned a VIN.
You changed your order, but you went from
I
blue
did.
to silver.
So
you
my
skipped the queue somehow.
no. So what happened was that was in April. I'm just checking the dates. Okay, I think my car was built on the 4th, and I changed the order on the 10th. It might have been on the 10th. I can't quite remember. But basically, I changed my order after the car was built and then got VIN matched on the Sunday. So it was a Friday where I changed it, and then on the Sunday, I was VIN matched. So you are not on this next ship, Cameron. So this one here that's already arrived into Brizzy, you're on another one. Now,
Well, that's
every
good
week.
because I'm happy to wait.
Yeah, well, so I run this script at 1 minute past midnight on a Wednesday morning, just to be kind to the server for the Mole server.
Yep.
So if anything pops up, then I'll have it up here. For example, the latest new booking, sorry about that, latest new booking was going to Japan. So we'll keep a record of everything that happens as far as Model 3 and Y shipments for any port in Australia. So yours is the next one. Cameron, you got to wait. You'll be in the next quarter. So I dare say that ship probably won't leave until the end of the quarter, or well.
Well, that's good because the IPO is coming up. So hopefully something bounces and I can afford it.
You mean the Starlink, SpaceX IPO?
Yeah. Surely that'll bounce Tesla around, I hope.
No, so, well, not financial advice. What potentially very much would bump the Tesla share price, again, not financial advice or anything like that, is what most people believe is when, not if, Tesla and SpaceX announce a merger of equals. Again, speculation. However, there's so much smoke out there that there's got to be fire, and it makes so much sense in so many ways. And for anyone that's curious, do look up all the videos. Look at a lot of ex-posts from Alexandra Mers, also known as Tesla Boomer Mama. She's done a lot of work that was seeded by another gentleman, Larry Goldberg, who actually first seeded the concept of a merger of equals as a very viable thing. So yeah, that would definitely give Tesla a big boost. But none of that's going to happen at the IPO, Cameron, straight away. Like, these things take some time, even if they do it quickly. There are certain exclusions and all that, exclusion periods where they've got to just let the IPO finish off and then they can discuss other things. But a lot of people in the not in the know, but spending a lot of time thinking of all the synergies, it just makes a hell of a lot of sense, and it's very compelling. It sort of almost reduces the chances of there not being a merger to being quite unlikely in the scheme of things. And the other thing too to wait for, well, see, Pete got his car and he lamented on the morning that we all got invited to select a booking date to get the YL. I said, yeah, Pete, I've got it. I got it on day one. And he goes, well, I got it on the 27th of May or whatever date it was. And I said, and he goes, oh, you'll probably have already done your lap by the time I even get my car. And I go, yeah, Pete, except there could also be a possibility that FSD doesn't get installed on that car. And I still haven't done a lap or got FSD when you get your car. And, guess what? That's exactly what happened.
You can go together now.
And I've been driving my YL around like a caveman with autopilot on well-marked roads and nothing whatsoever on all the other roads.
And how frustrating is it, Harold?
It's like a caveman, Pete. I got to do this thing. I got to go, and it's like, it does my head in. And, it's just like, and I can't control the speed. And I must admit my driving skills have improved slightly through necessity.
I actually think FSD has improved my driving. Now, some people, especially my family, will laugh at that and say you had no other way to go but up. But yeah, I actually think I'm a better driver because I used to sort of push the speed limit. I used to try and go a little bit faster than, never more than 10 kilometres an hour over, or very rarely.
Sorry, we'll say allegedly. Sorry, because
allegedly, yes.
Allegedly.
But yeah, this thing, because you just don't go over the speed limit, and you're pretty happy supervising at the speed limit. So yeah, it's very rare that I go even 2 or 3 kilometres an hour over the speed limit now.
I do have a question for anyone that does have FSD supervised. How are they going between TAC and normal FSD? Is it allowing you to do that?
No, there's none. No, you have all or nothing. So when you have proper FSD supervised, that is one singular setting.
Yeah, I know, but like when you're on the highway and you want it to maintain the speed, because I'm always
it doesn't. It doesn't maintain the speed. So the sorest right foot I had, right toe, was on my latest lap, the 11th. It's still doing it exactly the same.
But now it's like disabled you from being able to select TAC while driving. Like I go down to the menu and I go up to the profile and change it, and it just sort of says cannot be activated or something, and I'm like, what? And then you go back to the other profile and it does FSD. But if you do it while you're driving to TAC, it just doesn't let you do it anymore. It's like
so that hack doesn't work.
Do you have a hardware 4 with FSD supervised?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Why would you want to go to TAC then?
I live rural, and I'm forever blipping the throttle to try and maintain.
Yeah.
So because I drive like 90 kilometers to the nearest town, and I'm forever it wants to slow down to like 87 in that 100 zone all the time.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But now it's like stopped me from being able to change the profiles since the last update, which had the better graphics and stuff.
Have you tried it after disengaging FSD?
I got a feeling I got to come to a complete stop, reselect the other profile, and go again. Not do it while I'm traveling, because normally while I'm traveling I can just go between the profiles.
Yeah, but do try as a data point, as an experiment, to consciously just wiggle your way out of FSD, or
Yeah, I do.
press a button or whatever.
Yep.
And then, so when you've got no driver control, then try and change profiles and see if that'll work. But if you already
Yeah,
tried it, then fair enough.
I
That's cool.
I couldn't seem to get it to work, and I ended up just
Yep.
giving up and blipping the throttle the whole way. Even though you scroll it to like 110, it'll go to 110. I actually like the way it sort of can't make up its mind what speed it wants to maintain. If you get the same when you're in FSD, if you're going faster than the speed limit.
Well, actually, so there's only one part of the entire software package that is hard coded, like in C++ code, and that is the adherence to go no faster than the maximum. When you, on the scroll wheel, you can set a blue max speed limit.
Correct. So you scroll it to
And
110.
if you scroll it to 110, and then, well, let's change it to scroll it to 100,
Yep.
and the speed limit's 110,
Yep.
and then you use the accelerator, you blip the accelerator to get to 110, and then you scroll, your max number is 100. If you take your
Yep.
foot off the accelerator, it'll quite rapidly but safely decelerate to 100. It's not instantaneous, it doesn't jerk or anything like that. So that's the only part of C++ code that the car adheres to, is that maximum. There is no minimum. And of course, if you think about it, a minimum's not practical to set, because the minimum speed is 0 if there's a kangaroo or object or some human or whatever. So it's pretty difficult to hard code what would be nice is to hard code a desired speed, which is probably a middle sort of parameter.
Which is why I
Don't-
use TAC.
Yeah. So I guess as a first world problem, you're experiencing the FSD first world problem, which is saw right toe. My first world problem in a Model YL is I've got to
You don't
drive
even
around
have it.
like a caveman. I don't even have FSD to give me a saw right toe.
Yeah, we
But look,
didn't have it for about 4 weeks when we got ours, I think.
Oh, so you got a Juniper, right? So you got
No,
a
I
no?
got the new Model 3 Performance, February model, but I didn't get FSD till
Okay.
the end of March.
Yep. So yeah, look, the rest of us are just going to have to wait. And unfortunately, any new cars, so all of the new cars coming off the ships at the moment into the foreseeable future will not have FSD for the time being. So
Just new hardware in the cars for the stack to read.
I wouldn't necessarily say that. It's just what's happening at the moment. So
One day you'll get it.
yeah, and I actually made myself a Word document which gave me a whole lot of windows that I can dual app, and that opens on the 12th of June to the 22nd, the 19th to the 29th, the 26th of June to the 6th of July, 10th of July to the 20th of July, 14th of August to 24th of August, 21st of August to 31st, and etc. It's a little bit pessimistic to have the 23rd of October to the 2nd of November, but if that's how long it takes, I'll be ready in that window to do a 11-day lap. Anyway.
That must be really annoying for the wife's boyfriend.
That's right. He's never really quite got a right schedule, but he goes, "Oh, when's it going to be? Which one's? Yeah, no, ha ha." But anywho, it's a first world problem. Secretly, I mean, it doesn't matter when I do the lap now because we're in the depths of winter. We're approaching the winter solstice, and the days are not getting any shorter anytime quickly. So it's not going to make any difference in the next 6 weeks when I leave, if I get to do that then. But anyway.
Have you sprawled out on your inflatable bed?
Yes.
How is it?
My only look, good. The only problem is because I've got a few accoutrements that I have to bring with me, what I really like is a version that's half a bed width. Because this thing's basically
Full size.
a hybrid air mattress and closed cell foam mattress. So basically what happens when you first unfurl it, they've got a little air pump and you basically you have to pump it up because the all this closed cell, or I guess it can't be closed cell, can it? It has to be open cell, but whatever. The foam has been squashed for so long that it needs a bit of help to sort of regain its vigor. But once you've done that, what you do is you don't really have to pump it up, but you can, and then you just close the end valve, or you just close it up, seal it up, and then it's great. Problem is, it takes the entire from all the way from the back of the boot right up to the back of your front seats, so everything's flat. Now, what I'd like is an option. It really needs to be another mattress that you can have a left or a right hand side where it's split in the middle. So
I
that
did see that, Harold, from one of the China posts. So probably from China. I'm fairly sure I saw one of those for the exact reason you're talking about. But it's probably Alibaba or something, and how good it is another
yeah,
question.
and I've actually got a Model Y, the classic Model Y mattress that comes in 3 strips. So I'd be more likely to use that because then I can put down one of the captain's chairs and the back row, that's an equal split. So there's no 60-40 anymore. It's just 50-50, and just sleep on half of the car just for myself. And then I can have my 20 kilowatt DC charger and spare tire and whatever else, on the other side. So I think when I posted up on X that I finally got the mattress, Richard Chapman quite sagely put, yeah, but I bet you never use it. And he's probably almost right, but maybe not quite.
Could you put all that stuff on the mattress, or do you feel as though it might damage it over time?
Oh, this 20 kilowatt charge is pretty heavy. It's like 40 kilos. Look, I could. I guess the biggest
Does
issue.
it bend? Like, can you put the
No, not
chair
when it's
up, like,
inflated.
so-
Not when it's not when it's fully sprung open. It just wants to be flat. And no.
What about if you do the slicey?
Then I've got to do slicey slice. Look, the slicey is easy. That's always easy to do slicey. What's more challenging is to do the sealy, which is
Yeah,
glue
yeah.
or whatever the wound.
Does the
So
DC charger fit between the captain's chairs?
no.
I was wondering how much space is there between the chairs? Is it just basically a leg width?
It's
Could
let's
a
call
German
it
Shepherd sit between?
I'd call it a foot. I'd call it probably 30 centimeters tops.
So
In fact, Pete can probably
small
go
dog.
and get his measuring stick out and measure it.
Have a
If
look at
you
the link I just put in for you, Harold.
Oh, okay. Oops, that would be not that one. That would be what's called the chat.
I'm onto it. I've got the measuring tape. Give me
Yeah,
2
very
seconds.
good. I'm guessing 30 centimeters, but
I think
in fact, that might. Oh, geez.
I think you might be right. I'll give it a go now.
What the hell
Rightio.
is that? Wow, look at this. What solo Model Y camping bed and kitchen? Oh, that looks like a lot of IKEA stuff. I'm just trying to get it to come across. There we go.
It fully pulls out and everything.
Yeah, it's just tab and interlock. It's what we made 50 years ago, and my dad made for our stuff, because it goes flat, but it's only tabs that hold it in place.
Yeah, very good. That's pretty cool.
And it lifts the bed up quite high, so you could probably have your DC charger on the behind the passenger seat.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, look, I've only slept in cars slash caravans on, oh, I don't know, half a dozen times. I I usually get my laps down pretty well. Where I'm a little bit picky, I will generally pick a hotel room. Um, I mean, look, I could go commando and just do the 11 days. Well, it wouldn't even be 11 days. It would just be 10 then, and not even if you just slept in your car and didn't bother with showers and all that sort of stuff. But as soon as you know, as soon as you bother with showers, it's actually more convenient to just go to a motel room because you basically, end of the night, go straight to the shower and then go straight to bed and then wake up between 3 and 6 hours later. Um, and then you're out and you've got coffee and, stuff and you got fresh bed, whatever. So
Soft.
Yeah, exactly.
soft.
Yeah,
You can starfish. It's you got on the aircon is the same in the car, but it's just simpler. Like I said, if you're showering, if you want to go commando a couple of days, yeah, sure, you can just push through. Like it doesn't matter then. But given that you're gonna generally have a shower and whatever, it's you don't actually lose time staying in a motel room as opposed to say faffing around with going to a caravan park ablution block where you've got to, oh my God, you've got to, we've all done it. You've got to get your towel and you've got to get your fresh bit of clothes and then you try and find a hook to hook it on and then your soap dish and your this and your that. And it
Go
just
for a
takes
wander.
longer and it's more inconvenient and it's dirtier. And there's nothing like being in a hotel room or motel room with an ensuite and you're just straight in the shower, straight to bed, up in the morning, shave, whatever, blah, 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 in your car. And you just bring, anyone doing season. I remember, James, you said that the longer trips you go, say in a caravan or whatever, the less you bring. And something I've learnt really well is, yeah, because I'm lazy, and I haven't got time to wash clothes and all that stuff. I'll just bring a dozen jocks, a dozen shirts, 3 or 4 pairs of shorts. So you got a fresh whatever every day. Um, and I just decant a few of them into a day bag with my toilet
Yeah.
bag so that you're not lugging everything into the motel. You're just bringing, 2 or 3 or 4 days supply, which dwindles, and then you bolster back up when you're at another charging stop. So,
So, Harold, you've just talked yourselves into doing a record lap because look, 4 guys or 4 people went round the moon and back in approximately 10 days. And they were having towel washes and other stuff and putting their clothes in bags. You just repeated half of what they did.
yeah, but I've already done 8.5 days. So,
Oh, have you? Right, sorry.
oh yeah, yeah. So I've already and just, I mean, it's late, so not many people are watching anyway. But the way you do a really fast lap is it's like those crazy ultra marathon runners. They just don't
Have
sleep.
you thought about the charging stations you're going to skip until you get into the land of milk and honey?
Yes, so with the YL, I can go from Perth from home to Geraldton easily, and if I charge the car to sort of 100%, I could probably get to Northampton, and then from Northampton, I can get to Carnarvon non-stop, and then from Carnarvon, I still have to charge a little bit at Nanyatara, but get to Karratha, then Karratha overnight because that's my first night, then 200 and whatever k's later get to Port Hedland. Obviously, that's a fast charger, like a properly fast charger. Charge up there, but only have to make one brief stop along the way between either Pardue, which I would do, because you never go past a charger that works, providing it works. But then I could skip Sandfire and Bidgidanga and go straight to Broome. Broome, I can go straight to Fitzroy Crossing without slowing down or thinking about slowing down. And then there's further along, the 3 ways to Camberwell. I can probably blat that out at probably close to 110 k's an hour, which is a luxury. And then I've got to do the Flinders Highway gauntlet of the Eureka, Queensland
50 kilowatt charging.
electric shitty highway. And I don't normally say that word on these episodes. On what was 75 kilowatts as tritium RTM 75s, but then we're dialed back to 50 kilowatts if they work. And I noticed that maybe Hewenden might be working, because there was a PlugShare post that said Eureka might be bringing it back online the next couple of weeks, maybe, because otherwise I might have had to strategically short stop at Richmond and then just go to bed an hour and a half earlier and get up an hour and a half earlier to be able to go non-stop to, I'd have to do Charters Towers and hope that works.
Have you checked your efficiency numbers to see if it's going to work out?
Yeah, I can tell you now, my car's done just under 1,500 Ks, strictly around Perth, on local roads and the highways, so the freeway and Tonkin Highway, Leach Highway, and a few others, mainly going between my place south of Perth to Malaga, where my workshop is. And my nearly 1,500 K average efficiency is 129 point something watt hours per kilometre. Really impressive. Really impressive. And that's with brand new tyres. Yeah. And that's the standard aero wheels.
Oh, cool. Chemist. All right.
Oh, so Pete, what's the distance?
You won't believe it. You will not believe
less.
it.
Yeah, it's half that. Yeah.
16 centimeters once you raise the captain's chair's armrests, and it's about 19 centimeters when they're retracted.
Yeah, so it's basically a hand span. So if you just get your hand, it's basically that hand span. That's about 200 mil.
I figured it'd be the thickest part of your leg, because you got a side shift to get through it.
Yeah. What I found is
at that height, that wouldn't even be knee height, though, would it?
No.
So it wouldn't be your thigh; it'd be mainly your knee.
But what you should have done, Pete, is put the chairs down, the armrest down. Although having said that, I think they go pretty much vertically, so it wouldn't make any difference.
No, it does. When they're retracted, it's about 19 centimeters.
Oh, sorry, 19. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
So because they don't go down, they do go down vertically, but they sort of go this way. If that makes sense.
Yep. So what I find is that spot between the two captain's chairs is really handy. I went to Woolies months and months ago, or last year, and bought some. They were like $2 white towels. They're not beach towels. I don't know what you call them, but they're fairly small. They're probably a metre and a half long, or maybe a bit less. Anyway, they're quite thin and sort of light, and I just stack them there, because what I try and do whenever you get a new car, you get that thing of, well, I should really look after this car a bit better than the last car, which is a bit unloved. So rather than eating a Subway or something and have stuff drip on the nice perforated seats, I just put a towel.
Non-clean.
Yeah. So, that's right. So the Performance Y that after 194,000 Ks never got cleaned and then did at the end. And I don't think I ever posted that video. Maybe I did. I can't remember now. So I just have a little towel that I put on my lap so I can eat stuff. And I must admit, if it's a little bit chilly, it's like a nice little blankie that you can sort of drive around in that no one can see. And between the captain's chairs is a perfect spot for stuff like that. So I actually find that space is really useful, because you can kind of put stuff that you don't want to deal with or doesn't get in the way. Um, but yeah, it's not very wide, as you said, Pete. And yeah, it wouldn't fit my blue box. So anyway, it's just and you know, I really look forward to one day doing a lap, and God, I hope it's not my 20th one, where I don't need to use a blue box. I don't need to enhance the three phase that I have to resort to using because something's broken or something's not there. So, you know, like at Camberwheel, there's nothing but three phase.
How does that work? So does it bring in the three phases and bump it up
It's
another?
let's just call it a tiny DC charger. So it's a very small DC charger. So it converts the AC to DC. Obviously, 32 ounce three phase, you can
I
pull
get you.
22 kilowatts.
So you get over the 11 restriction.
Exactly.
It's
So-
a portable DC charger, effectively, isn't it?
Basically,
I
yes.
actually was hitting 12 the other day. I'll see if I can submit a photo.
Yeah, so you'll get the 12 because people talk about 22 or 12, and in particular 7 kilowatts for the single phase cars. It's not 7 kilowatts. 240 times 32 is about 7.6. The same thing as 240 if that's your grid voltage. Actually, I think in Queensland it's 230, but 240 times 16 times 3 is actually 11.5 kilowatts. But if your voltage is up a little bit, you'll get a little bit more than that 11.5. But people call it 11 kilowatts. But yeah,
Yeah,
so that's
you're
how the
right.
blue box.
It's 242.
Yeah. So you get 242. You multiply by 16 times 3, which is the caveman way of doing power conversion. You know, the purists will say, well, you should have multiplied, I think 240 by the square root of 3 on 2. I can't remember. There's the formula. To get 415 odd volts times 16, whatever it works out to. Mike, you got your hand up.
May I ask a different question, or perhaps more of a tip, actually? Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So those that were here might remember last week I was interested in talking to Paul about his Starlink experience, because I'm thinking of taking up their offer at the moment, which is quite interesting because it saves about $700 over the next 6 months 16 months for us, which, you know, is $700. So I couldn't get the blasted app on my iPhone to pick up any satellites whatsoever, even when I was out in the street. All right? So let me finish.
So sorry, what do you mean satellites? You mean when you do the view or something?
When you do the view, when you go into the Starlink app, when you initially go in, and this is, I've not bought it yet or anything, and so there's a spot which says a preview view or something like that. So you then poke your camera at the sky, and during that process it says you need to give the camera permission and your location permission. So cool, all good, but it would not see the satellites at all.
It never did, Mike. So all it does.
It does. Yes. So I called up the 1-800 number, which is actually not a person. It's one of those machines. Oh yeah. So as an aside, it was good in one way in that it could roughly follow what I was saying at getting annoyed speed, and but it couldn't actually solve the problem. And it kept going back to, when it couldn't solve the problem, it kept going back. If you buy it and you get it and you still have the problem, I said, look, I don't want to buy it until I know it's going to work. So let me get to the tip. So the tip is, it actually needs 3 things, at least on an iPhone, to work. Because I have most of my hardware locked down, having been in audit and IT and a few other things, I had turned off location permissions under system settings for, any guesses? Compass.
Oh, yes. And
Right?
it uses Compass. Yeah.
It
Uses the
uses
framework.
Compass. So the
Yeah.
software is flaky in that it was flaky, because I noticed there was an update today, because I gave them some feedback saying, oi, get your stupid system to tell everybody to look at, because nowhere did anybody, except for one little place, did I see any reference to make sure your compass under system services, under location, so it's like 4 things deep, is turned on to allow location to access the compass, or compass to access the location. So just a tip for everybody who might be listening in future, if their iPhone app doesn't work, I don't know how it works on Android, obviously. It must be similar, it must use the compass. Most people don't understand all these settings and have them turned on by default. Like most people.
Exactly. So that's why most people would never come across this issue, because they never
Correct.
went to turn it off. Yeah.
Yes. So just a tip for everybody.
So did it work then?
Yeah, like a champ, no problem.
And
So
does it actually show satellites
Oh yeah. Although
in real time?
Well,
moving?
right, so what I would say is I don't know is the answer. What it showed me was, instead of a blank screen and nothing happening, it showed hundreds of white dots all filling the screen.
Oh no, that's just your LiDAR. The distance between your phone and what it's looking at pretty short, and it makes like what they call a vector space, basically.
Yeah, it shows the satellites you can see. So what it did was that, even though I'm in my street, I've essentially got 2-story houses and trees near me, and it said this is a bad area, because I couldn't be stuffed getting up on the
The
roof.
way
to
I
try
see
and-
the satellites, you go to what is it, Starlink Live Tracker, and then you can actually see them live where they are.
Yeah,
traveling.
but you get what I'm saying, that it's telling you whether you've got a good view or not.
Yes.
Whatever it's actually
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. So that's what I was going to say, Mike. So what it generally does is it'll favour a southerly direction, because we are.
Yeah, this is the issue. So it didn't make any favoritism whatsoever. And according to the Grok, in my area, north is actually the best. And I said,
Yeah.
well,
That's what I mean. So the natural favourite area, preferred area, is pointing south in a southerly direction, because of the way your orbital inclination works. You got more density to the south of us. But if you've got trees and houses and whatever, to be honest, I just shoved mine on the dash of my car, and it's the worst. It's the most unfavourable. It's unstable. It doesn't point in any particular direction. Sometimes it's just as good just to point it straight up, and then it will pick up. There are so many satellites now that it'll be highly unlikely in a fixed location that you're going to have no service. And
this is what I was trying to suss. Yeah, indeed, Harold. Because the issue I've got is that I've got a thing which I could attach to my south-facing wall that can high up on a second story, which can see quite well.
Yeah,
and that's
but you
easier
got the
for me
cable.
to get to and easier to attach. The problem is, though, of course, once you stick it on a wall, all the opposite direction is completely occluded.
Oh, sorry. Do you mean to say vertically on a wall?
Yes.
Oh no, don't. That's pretty extreme. No, so I wouldn't recommend
Well, on
that.
the Tesla videos, you can see them. They stick it like on a gutter.
Yeah. Oh, yes, but you're talking about much higher latitudes than we are. So I would recommend. Look, you just need to look at your house. I mean,
179 degrees south is the optimal, they reckon.
See, again, Grok tells you the exact opposite, right?
Yeah, that's because it's in the northern hemisphere. Because
Grok kept thinking I was in Washington. You know, every second time I had to remind it I'm in Western Australia. So this is the problem. So that's the other tip. Don't listen to that idiot Grok, because it's just.
Do you pay for Grok, Mike?
No, of course. Well, this was actually the 1-800 number. So whatever.
Oh yeah, this is Starlink's Grok. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess the thing is, I know that you're looking at it more opportunistically as a cheaper price.
Yes.
The fundamental thing is, for quality of service, nothing beats fibre to the house all day, every day, no matter what anyone says.
Yeah, you mentioned last week. Yep.
And then it gets incrementally worse from there. You know, fibre to the curb, fibre to the node is particularly bad. I think most people have fibre to the node, unless you're bush, in which case Starlink is the only game in town. Look, Paul was on last week.
Yeah.
I remember his house. He's got some pretty tall gum trees around, but they're not everywhere. And he's just poked his dish, his terminal sort of away from them. And I think in his case it might have actually been south, which was better.
He did
I
say
think.
that.
But in my experience, just horizontally staring up at blue sky. In fact, what you do is you just look at a quadrant of blue sky and you put your dish flat to that area, no matter what the direction, and you'll be okay.
Yep.
Oh, actually, I'm pretty sure. Sorry, when did Starship go take off?
Starship.
That was when Thursday,
Friday morning.
Friday morning.
Friday morning our time. Yeah.
So we should note that. So, Starship is approaching the verge at which it'll become a viable thing. Well, a thing, an ongoing, well, a reusable thing. To that end, SpaceX did launch two. They called them a stupid term, Dodger dogs. And that's obviously in a.
What is that?
Oh, I think it's there's something Dodgers. It's a football team and it's a hot dog. I think
Right,
it's
whatever.
some cultural reference to,
Something.
it's just
yeah.
a dumb name in my opinion, as
Yeah,
a
dumb
mere
leaks are better.
Australian. Also to our American friends are known as an Austrian, and I've already explained why that's actually not insulting because I'm one of them as well. But they've got two satellites that are. They're not really version 3 minis. They're boosted version. What's the current version, Mike? It's V.
Uh,
No, V3 minis. I think they're minis, aren't they? They
V3
call them
minis.
minis. But what they did was they actually put bigger tanks, bigger propellant tanks in them. They've kind of like elongated them to be the size of what would be the version 3 Starlink satellites.
Yeah.
And
Except
I
for
think
the last two.
the last
Yes.
two of them, yes, they got launched. Now,
yes.
I'm all but certain that the intention of those, because they had solar panels, was, and I think that's why they had larger propellant tanks, was their job, apart from doing, and again, unfortunately, SpaceX / Elon Musk hasn't really elaborated on what they're doing with them. But my feeling is that this is a suborbital flight, so it was always guaranteed to ditch into the Indian Ocean, no matter what happened. If you did nothing, it ditched. If you did anything, it still ditched. But those satellites, one job was to do an orbit around the Starship to have a look at all the tiles to see how they went before they re-entered. But I think the other job, and they had to do it within minutes, was to pour on their rockets or their thrusters and basically get into an orbit for themselves as opposed to just ditch into the Indian Ocean, because they did show them and they definitely had solar panels, and it would have made zero sense to fit solar panels, actual panels, on something you were going to ditch into the ocean minutes later. So I think they sort of alluded to the fact that these were experimental satellites that were going to sort of be a halfway bridge, and they were going to have the two of them be part of a constellation. So I'm pretty sure that's what happened. It's just that SpaceX never elaborated and said this is what they did. Unless
Yeah,
you
I
know
agree.
something else, Mike.
I watched all that, and they never actually explained exactly what they were doing. But
No, Jackie, no.
I'm pretty sure the idea is they are going to orbit as a
Yes,
test sort of bed thing for their next satellites.
exactly,
I'm glad.
exactly.
I'm glad we're talking about Starlink, because I watched last week and there was quite a discussion about it, and I've just ordered it myself. And yeah, I've got a similar problem where I have a lot of trees close to the house,
Yep.
and I'm not sure. There's a bit of blue sky above it, but
Well,
it'll be a
just
bit of
point just point it to the blue sky, no matter what that direction is. Wherever you've got the most blue sky, point the dish at that blue sky.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
definitely the way to go. And they have updated the software some months ago, about 6 months ago, a bit more actually, where they are much quicker to swap between one satellite to another. So as soon as one satellite goes behind a tree, they'll pick another one that's not behind a tree, because trees kill the satellite signal, very much so.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Do you have?
but yeah, so go,
Do
Mike.
you have you? Do you, either you, Harold, or anybody else, do you have a UPS on your Starlink main home type dish? For those of you
I
with
have.
home batteries and stuff and solar, yes, but some of us don't have that. So
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think it takes actually much to power one. So a
No,
small
no.
UPS would do the job.
Yeah.
And that's
I
the
would
other
agree.
reason for me, because we lose power here all the time.
So there's
Where,
a couple of
yeah.
go, Jackie.
So I was just going to say, where are you, Mike?
In northern
Oh,
suburbs.
he's in
and
the
they're always-
northern suburbs.
northern
Oh,
suburbs, and they're
okay.
always changing
Mike's
power
Mike's a retired ASIO operative, so
Yes.
he has to
Okay,
keep his
so stick
identity.
him up north.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
so the residential dish is different because if I recall correctly, it still relies on a centralized power supply coming from the router.
Yep.
Although I think you can use it over PoE, but that's another story. Power over Ethernet. But the mini dish, which is totally different, is only USB-C, and that can be powered on anything more than 12 volts actually on USB via USB-C, and that draws very little power. Like I can't
That's
remember
good.
what it was now. It's less than 20 watts. It's very low. The bigger dish might be actually probably not much more, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, you can get a tiny UPS.
Yeah.
Although in my experience, all of those UPSs that rely on the 12-volt gel cell batteries,
No.
there are two kinds of them.
Yes.
Those where the gel cells fail, well, sorry, have failed, and those that are going to fail. They are a wearing item. I can actually look to the bottom right, to my right, and there's one that I got back from a holiday, and all I could hear is this, and it's basically the beeper going, my batteries are stuffed, and I've already replaced them once, and I've just like unplugged it out of frustration, and I don't have a UPS at the moment. So, but yeah, Mike, just the same UPS as your PC really, or whatever, and it'll be fine. Great thing is, as opposed to the NBN, if we have a long outage and you've got power, you don't have to rely on the batteries at a node or something like that to keep things alive. Starlink will stay alive.
Yep, exactly. Thanks, Harold.
Alrighty,
Yeah,
go, Jackie.
Sorry, I did just want to go a bit further with that and ask Mike what he still hasn't ordered his.
No.
So the price, like I got the offer of what, $49 a month or something for 3 months.
4 months. Yeah.
4 months, whatever.
Yeah.
And then the next time I saw something on the app, and that the next after the first 4 months, the price was going to go to 69, I think. And then the next time I saw the app, it's gone up to 75 already on the monthly charge.
Yeah, I suspect they're ramping it. I thought it was actually 79 earlier today, and it's now 75. But yes, so it will no doubt go up, because 2nd of June is the closure date for this offer. So for those who are interested in taking up the discount for the first 4 months, in about 3 or 4 or 5 days or whatever it is.
Well, we are currently on, I was just going to say, we're currently on ADSL. Have you heard of that?
Oh, yes. Asymmetric digital subscriber line.
Telstra
I've got a scroll from the Dead Sea that mentions it.
Yeah. So because where we are in the hills, there's no way they're going to dig a hole and put fibre optics in. And even though it goes, we're actually Jarrahdale way, and fibre optics goes all the way up Jarrahdale Road to Jarrahdale, and they've all got fibre optic stuff. But to come into our little settlement, there's no way they're going to do anything. And you ring Telstra and say the internet's not working, and they say, oh, well, your modem's okay. Okay, they do some testing. But if it's out in the hole in the ground or in the wire on the pole, they tell you to contact the NBN.
Yeah.
And so you contact the NBN and they say, oh, no, that's Telstra. You've got to get to Telstra. So Telstra are about to put our price up to $97 a month. And I thought, well, they can go and have a funny run. I'll get Starlink.
No, I think Starlink
Don't
would be
you?
ideal for somebody like yourself.
Yeah.
Absolutely ideal.
Absolutely.
You'd be surprised, where you wouldn't be surprised at the number of, like, some old decrepit building in the middle of nowhere. It's got Starlink. You drive up and down the Albany Highway, and I've noticed it now. Cars have got them on their dash, a lot of them. And I dare say that's a lot of people that probably don't just drive on the Albany Highway, but they might go a bit inland or off the highway. People are using Starlink everywhere. You go to the footy at the stadium, and if you're in one of those buses, as you go down whatever that from the Camfield bus station thing towards Great Eastern Highway, there's actually a speed. I think it's got a couple of cameras and a speed monitoring whatever sort of active sign thing. And sure enough, it's got a Starlink dish on it, a mini. And it's like, oh, okay, because maybe they've got unreliable. Actually, it would be, because whenever you've got a large event with like literally tens of thousands of people, the mobile phone network can't cope because it's just too many phones using data all at once. So they use Starlink, as one of the Starlink A4 size mini dishes. So Starlink's everywhere.
It is, and with the emergency services, I've been involved in the local fire brigade, and we have a huge, big truck which is used to run the fires from, and they had all sorts of internet things on it. And as soon as you get away from anywhere, nothing works.
Yep.
But now you call up the SES guys, and they come with their Starlink setup, put it on the ground just outside of our truck, give us a login, and away we go, and it's fantastic.
Vehicles, the coppers, quite a while ago, the then Commissioner for Police put up a post to, I think it was Elon Musk actually, saying, oh, we'd love to have some Starlink for our police cars at mates rates. And the first trial was done at Exmouth because there's just no coverage at all. Interestingly enough, this is a very quick aside, if you are with Telstra as a postpaid, as on a contract, postpaid service with Telstra, you can be anywhere in Australia, and if you are in a mobile dead black spot, your phone will come up with Telstra Starlink on the left-hand side and SAT and something else on the right-hand side, and you can send and receive text messages directly to your unmodified, more recent mobile phone, directly to a Starlink satellite. And I think later this year or next year, you'll be able to do voice calls as well as some more data. And that's directly using Starlink satellites. That's the version 3 mini satellites that are currently being launched. And that's all part of the Starlink constellation.
More bandwidth.
It's amazing.
Yeah, you just need more bandwidth. That's exactly right. And that'll be coming soon. One thing, although Starlink has a lot of bandwidth, this show does not have much more bandwidth. So if there are any sort of like closing-ish questions or comments, that'll be really cool in the last few minutes of this awesome show.
I did just put a thing in the chat asking if the output on the YL's been activated yet. Can you get is it 3.3 or 3.6 kilowatt out?
Don't really know. Tesla notably do not have that adapter on their website yet. I ordered a what do you
Aftermarket.
call it? Aftermarket, thank you. Aftermarket one from Tessery, and that notably hasn't left them either.
Supposed to
So
be 3.3 kilowatts, though. Yeah, you're right.
yeah,
It is
which makes
3.3.
sense. Yeah, it's probably 15 or 16 amps. It's
A little bit less.
if it's 3.3, it'll be a 15 amp outlet because Australia only has 15 amps.
I thought 15
As
amp was
the
3.6.
well, then maybe in that case it's maybe a little bit less. It's obviously more than 10. Maybe is it 12?
Maybe it's a
No,
bit lower
12 is
voltage.
288. So 3.3, 240 divide. That's 14,
But
13,
he's sure it's
14
15.
amps. So
Okay.
it'd be close to 15 amps.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Yeah. Can I ask, what is the maximum kilowatts you can have for solar panels now on a house?
30, Pete. Is that right? I think it's 30.
Commercial is 30. I
No,
think residential
no,
is
Cameron, in
15.
WA, no, in
Yeah,
WA
yeah.
we've changed. So we used to be in the dark age. I think it's now 30, but there are asterisks depending on three-phase, single-phase.
Oh, that's a lot.
There's,
Three,
it has opened up a
used to
lot,
be
but
5.5.
yes, well, yes and no. You could always get more if you applied, and they were always at liberty at their discretion to approve it or not. But now the general thing is generally approvable is sort of 30, but I think there's some asterisks there too. And I'm not sure if that needs to be tied to a battery system. Pete, I don't know if you're the full bottle of that at the moment, whether that's one of the caveats to
That's the
get that.
next question. How big do you need the solar panels to be to cope with a battery maybe later?
Okay, so, well, the answer to that is you actually don't even need a solar panel for the battery if you're going to use it in a certain way. Um, it gets it's a classic answer. It depends. So I know someone who has, let's call it 20 kilowatts of panels and 44 kilowatt hours of battery, who you'd normally think that's plenty, but I know someone that can drain that on a whole of house reverse cycle aircon system, ducted aircon, which can just suck that down in not very long. So it's a classic. It depends. The bigger the battery, the better. It means you can ride out crappier. Like for the next several days, we're going to have very little solar. When it's really rainy, you'll get 5% or 10% of your normal solar output, which is fine as long as you've got lots of solar. If you had 30 kilowatts of panels, you could get 1.5 to 3 kilowatts of power, which a house doesn't normally need that all day. So you could store some of that into a battery. But these
if you
days,
don't have a battery, there's no point in having
no, there's a point in having solar because, for example, in winter, if you've got lots of solar, you can just turn your heaters on in the daytime and warm the house up over the day so it doesn't get that cold sort of soak. And then it's warmer at night time. So, and the opposite you can do in summer as well. You can keep your house cooler while you've got lots of sun or lots of solar energy. It's the thing is, the federal government has changed the funding, so they're sort of biasing the battery rebate to smaller systems, which you can sort of understand. The government doesn't care how big the battery system is in one house. What's good for the country as a whole is the total capacity of all the batteries added up. That's what really counts as a system-wide thing. But for each user, you're actually better off, especially with an electric car, you're better off with a bigger battery. As big a battery as you can afford. Bearing in mind, batteries, I don't think yet, even with rebates, really pay for themselves unless you use them in special ways, like, say you're forced to charge your car at night,
But why
then you
would
could
you
mount
be
a
in the car?
case.
You wouldn't
Well, then
be
you
in
could
the
mount a
car.
case that you could spend a fair bit of money in batteries because you can fill them up for really cheaply between 9 and 3 p.m. on the cheap solar, so the daytime saver, 8 cents a unit, and you could then use that later on. So if you were forced to, say, charge a car after hours, then maybe investing in a battery where you still use that to arbitrage the cost could be quite cost effective and get you a return. But most of the time, people don't buy batteries because they're going to literally make money in the next 5 years. There's other reasons. There's, the environmental sort of aspect, the fact that a lot of systems these days, Mike alluded
Saving.
to before, and Jackie, about having a UPS. Well, a lot of these battery storage systems can act like the Powerwall, can act like an instantaneous UPS, an uninterruptible power supply for a large part of your house. And for people who've been through a blackout and they've lost the entire contents of their fridge and freezer, that's a killer application. That's a great thing to have, So,
Well, Harold, we've actually got, this is another reason why I bought an electric car, because we've actually got a pretty decent solar PV and battery
yep,
system already. Being where we are, lots of blackouts because of trees falling over and
yep,
branches and just poor quality electrics in the streets. But what I've found through how I've had the battery system for probably 18 months now is that if you've got good PV and you're producing heaps of energy on the day the sun shines, 90% of it's going to be going out to the grid. And what they're now
mm,
doing is limiting how much you can send to the
yep,
grid because they're
yep,
not giving you anything for it. And my system is limited to only exporting 1.5 kilowatts. That's the
yep,
maximum it can export.
yep,
So if I'm not using that power either in the house or to charge the batteries, it's all throttled. The
yep.
system gets throttled, so it just doesn't produce the excess. So ultimately, there is no point in having solar panels and exporting it to the grid unless you're getting paid. You may
Yeah,
as well have a
and they don't.
battery
Yep,
and put that excess energy into a battery, which you can use in the evening when you're cooking your meal or charging your car or
exactly.
doing whatever you like.
Yep, precisely. And in fact, if I was running those schemes, I would actually say if you should be able to have as much solar as you like. You should be encouraged to have battery storage. In fact, maybe even tie the two. You say, from now on, if you want solar, you've got to have battery storage, and you have zero export to the grid because you might as well just keep it to yourself because getting paid 1.5, 2, 3, 5 cents a unit is not worth the investment. You're
No.
much better off dribbling it into your EV or other things and keeping it to yourself. That notion of having selfish solar. So, but
Well,
yes, so
yes,
Carmen, yeah,
because the grid can't use it at the time you're
no,
making it. The grid can't use it,
that's right.
um, and uh, and so what is the point? If you've got batteries full of power, and then you have to export towards the end of the day, you only export 3 or 4 kilowatts perhaps at the end of the day. It's
Yeah,
no
that's
big
right.
loss. So
Exactly.
believe me, invest in a battery and don't
Yeah,
worry
yeah,
about
batteries.
it paying for itself because that's really a waste of time. Because at some stage the government's also going to turn around and say, we're going to control your system because we need to use some of your power at certain times of the day.
Well,
So,
that is also a change that I think has happened. If you want the larger systems and you want the WA government rebate, you, I think if you want the WA government rebate, you need to participate in a virtual power plant.
Yeah, you
Now
don't have a choice.
that's not a bad thing. What do they do is they will pay you for the power that's being consumed, and it will be a fair bit above what you pay for power. because that's actually to actually help the grid from falling over during a crisis or a shutdown or whatever. But I mean, some of the centralized control, it's not as bad as it sort of sounds. They're not evil,
It's there
but it
to
is very
centralize.
true that unfettered solar will literally kill the grid. It'll cause blackouts because the demand goes not just to zero, the net demand. In other words, there's basically no requirement for power from an external source because everything's been generated by the houses themselves. And when that gets close to that, the grid's already gone from being, completely unworkable. And if it goes negative, well, it literally blows up and they've got to disconnect. They've got to literally load shed. It's not really load shedding, it's generator shedding entire suburbs to stop the solar, which is why up a couple of years ago, all new solar systems had to comply with a standard whereby a central authority could throttle down inverters. And most of the time that would ever happen is on a Sunday during a spring or autumn equinox where you've got really mild conditions. Most of industry isn't really busy or on at all. No one's got air cons on. Everyone's solar's pouring in energy because it's a sunny day but mild. And that's where the net demand can go negative, which is extraordinarily damaging. So anyway, we really have hit up against our 2-hour time limit, which we try and do. In the old days, we used to do Ben-Hur style episodes with 4.5 hours, and we used to rock on to threatening to be nearly midnight. And one day we will do a swim through and do a 24. We'll do a Tokwa-thon or an Ask Us Anything thon all night, but tonight's not that night.
12-hour episodes.
Yes, that's right. Exactly. Around the clock. We'll do a talk around the clock.
Talk around the clock.
Talk around
That's
the
even where
clock.
we get out our camping equipment and we all sit down around a
Yeah,
fire.
that's right. And then we'll have a morning shift and all that sort of stuff. But tonight's not that night. Let me just get set up. Is there any last minute questions or comments just as we round this show out, just in case?
Thank Pete for his roving reporting as he's been doing.
Yeah, so there's new DC chargers in Joondalup at the shops now, finally.
Oh, yeah.
Very good.
The Helidon Spa supercharger in Queensland's almost open too, with two.
Very good, Cameron.
I'll get some photos of it. While I'm there.
Excellent. So we got Pete and Cameron are both happy. That's very good. Alrighty.
I would like some cover on the charges at Lords if you can wangle that. But I think it's the who actually it's facing on a wall facing north, so it's hot and sunny, and there's no cover, so it will rain. Does the client normally own them or the supplier?
Oh, it literally depends. So if it's at Lords, it probably would have been a Lords thing or a council thing that they might have put them up. Yeah, look, there's not a lot of shelter under external charges. The only thing that might make you feel a little bit better, Carmen, is on a trip that my wife and I took to New Zealand back in October, November, I think it was. We found a lot of unoccupied petrol stations where the Bowsers are just out in the open, no shelter, nothing, no kiosk either. It's just standalone Bowsers with payment terminals and bright sunshine or rain or whatever. So I guess they're trying to say that less is more. Yeah,
It's not.
Having the
but it's
boot
not.
on helps.
Less is less. That's what less is. That's what less means. Look it up in the dictionary, people. Yeah, exactly. All right, Pete, how would you round out an awesome show like this as if I didn't already know?
As always, stay safe, stay sustainable, valet SNX, and stay ahead of the curve.
And the best way to do that is buy a Tesla, which is not an S or X. Join Tokwa and ask us anything about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy and abundance. Have a wonderful week, everyone, and I really do look forward to seeing you on next week's episode of Tokwa's Ask Us Anything.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Night, everyone.
Cheers.